All hell is breaking loose as Congress is finally returning to Washington, D.C. to do its damn job. MAGA Mike Johnson sent everybody on yet another vacation for essentially the past 2 weeks. They are returning, and let's talk about what's happening. You have the Trump regime threatening now to arrest Senator Mark Kelly once again because Kelly called out the fact that the Trump regime is now out of munitions with their catastrophic war in Iran. You have MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, calling Democrats a bunch of anarchists. You have a MAGA Republican Congresswoman from Virginia saying the most heinous and racist things about Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Her name is Representative Jen Kiggins, and she agrees that Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has cotton-picking hands, and get your cotton-picking hands off of Virginia. I mean, I'll show you this audio in a second. It's so utterly disgusting. You have MAGA Republican Congress member Glenn Grothman saying he certainly hopes that there's not any additional MAGA Republican Congress members or Republican Congress members who will stand up against Donald Trump, continuing this unlawful and catastrophic war in Iran. You have Donald Trump announcing that he wants to get rid of any federal taxes on gas because the gas prices are going up like crazy right now. I don't have to tell you that. You all know how expensive gas is. But the thing is that Donald Trump and all of these MAGA Republicans had all said before on the record and on multiple occasions that they would never support getting rid of any gas tax. They said that would just completely bankrupt the United States. And so when former President Biden was talking about a gas tax holiday or some relief, all of the MAGA Republicans were saying, don't you even do that for a day. That's going to bankrupt our country. And now Donald Trump is ordering the MAGA Republicans, and they are dutifully obeying. MAGA Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna saying, because Donald Trump said we need to get rid of the gas tax, it's about 18 cents, every time you fill up, basically. We need to get rid of the gas tax right now. So I'm going to introduce this into the House of Representatives, and we're going to introduce this bill. And Donald Trump just continues to increase the debt by billions and billions and eventually trillions of dollars right now. And this absolutely catastrophic war persists, and MAGA Republicans continue to block all Democratic efforts to invoke war powers authorization and block Donald Trump from continuing on this path. The MAGA Republicans are like, war? What war? Epic Fury is over. Project Freedom is over. We may do Project Freedom Plus, but we're not in a war. There's just a naval blockade. That's not an act of it. Absolutely is. We're still in a catastrophic war right now. And Donald Trump thinks that he can do AI memes, and that's going to intimidate Iran. Iran's made it clear that they're not intimidated by any of this. Let's just go through again, piece by piece, what's going on now as the MAGA Republicans return. Oh, know what they're doing as well? The MAGA Republicans are bringing in all of these Secret Service witnesses to explain why $1 billion is needed for Donald Trump's Golden Ballroom, which is referred to in the reconciliation package as the East Wing Modernization Project, which is now going to cost you, the taxpayers, billions and billions of $1 billion, probably more when all is said and done. So there's going to be that. And then you have a lot of major hearings coming up with the Defense Department, with Hegseth and others. So a lot of action going on. So you have MAGA Mike Johnson saying the following: House Democrats started I want you to see how bad faith these people are. Like, we all know that Donald Trump started the mid-decade redistricting by having Texas change its congressional makeup to have 5 Republican seats, right? That's not the MAGA Republican telling of it, because they just borrow the lessons from Vladimir Putin and just make up fake narratives. So MAGA Mike Johnson, as the MAGA Republicans are returning to the House, MAGA Mike Johnson goes, House Democrats started the current mid-decade redistricting battle in New York before the 2024 election. Now that it's backfired on them, they are pushing a stunning next step. Nuke the judicial branch of government and pack the court. They are anarchists now. A Republican Speaker of the House calling Democrats an anarchist as the Trump regime literally rigged the Supreme Court, blocked Obama's ability to nominate someone when Obama was in office. And now the right-wing extremist fascist Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act and then expedited the ability of Alabama to get rid of all black congressional districts. You had the Calais versus Louisiana case, which gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then states like Alabama said, please, we need to get rid of all of our black congressional districts. The Supreme Court said, granted, get rid of all black congressional districts. We don't need to have any voting rights protections. Let's just eliminate any black congressional representation. That's literally what the Supreme Court said. And now MAGA Mike Johnson blames Democrats in New York. It's such filthy, bad faith, disgusting topics by this disgusting MAGA Republican Party. Sorry, I just get so angry sometimes. Then Donald Trump announces yesterday morning, we need to get rid of that 18-cent federal gas tax for a period of time. I think it's a great idea. We're going to take off the gas tax for a period of time. And then when gas goes down, we'll phase it back in. It's just a small percentage, but it's still money, he says. And so it's 18.4 cents per gallon on gas and 24.4 cents a gallon on diesel, to be clear. But just 2 weeks ago, you had MAGA Republicans like Senator John Cornyn from Texas. Here's what he said 2 weeks ago, as Samantha Handler explains. Suspending the gas tax would be, quote, a good way to bankrupt the country. Quote, you have to have some source of money to build our roads and bridges, and just eliminating it at this time for the short-term pain of increased gas prices, I think is not the best way to approach it. That's what MAGA promised. Donald Trump said, we're going to get you some short-term pain. Short-term pain? We're almost 2 years into this disgusting authoritarian regime, right? He said he was going to reduce everything on day one. It was all like a miracle. Everything was going to be amazing and everyone was going to be in a golden age and inflation was going to go away and gas prices were going to be less than $2 per gallon. These are con artists. These are criminals. These are fraudsters. That's who they are. Lifelong fraudsters. All of them. All of them. I'll show you this. CNN played audio of MAGA Republican Senator Josh Hawley saying in 2022 that suspending the gas tax is one of the dumbest things he ever heard of. But now with Anna Paulina Luna and Donald Trump, they're for the gas tax. Getting rid of the gas tax now. Here, play this clip.
The tax holiday is just silly. It has no chance of passing Congress. It will not reduce gasoline prices. It does nothing, of course, to help energy companies increase fracking or pipelining or refining. It does nothing.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. I mean, what Joe Biden can do if he wants to have any effect on gas prices is to suspend and reverse his idiotic Green New Deal policies that are causing this crisis.
By the way, it should be noted that the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve released last week about 1.22 million barrels a day. That's 8.6 million for the week. That's the largest ever weekly release, surpassing the peak rate seen in 2022 when President Biden tapped the SPR after Russia invaded Ukraine. As I noted earlier in this video, Secret Service Director Curran is coming to the Senate GOP lunch tomorrow in order to sell Donald Trump's $1 billion cost for the ballroom, which they're framing as ballroom security. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, this disgusting thing that MAGA Republican Congresswoman Jen Kagan says, when she said she agrees that Hakeem Jeffries has cotton-picking hands. Get your cotton-picking hands off of Virginia. She and the host are essentially saying, here, play this clip.
If Hakeem Jeffries wants to be involved in Virginia politics, then I suggest he does what a bunch of New Yorkers are doing. Leave New York, move down here to Virginia, run for office down here. You can represent us. If not, get your cotton-picking hands off of Virginia.
That's right. Ditto. Yes to that.
And then Jen Kiggins goes, this is precisely what's wrong with the Democrats. Every lie and distortion is intended to distract from getting their hats handed to them and the Virginia Supreme Court's clear message. Stop trying to rig our elections. Like Democrats, stop trying to rig our elections. Well, what are you doing in South Carolina? What are you doing in Alabama? What are you doing in Louisiana? What are you doing in Tennessee? What are you doing in Texas? What are you doing in Florida? What are you doing in North Carolina? What are you doing in all of these MAGA Republican states when you now are just overtly getting rid of any black congressional representation? Oh, we're Republicans. We're Republican. We can do whatever we want to do. You understand? We can do whatever we want to. I mean, come on. It's so pathetic. Look, there should be no political gerrymandering. There should be no gerrymandering. Democrats support banning political gerrymandering. Republicans want gerrymandering. That's just the reality of it. However, in my view, if you're going to open the floodgates for this, you can't just be like, well, the Democrats can't do it. That's rigging. When Republicans can do it, that's okay. Democrats do public referendums and the people vote. Banned. Republican legislatures, we just say, see you later, black congressional district, see you later, and we can do it, okay? That's heads I win, tails you lose. Come on. You know, there's such a bunch of babies. There's such a bunch of whiners. There's such a bunch of sociopaths. Anyway. So you have Jen Kiggin saying, you didn't hear what I just said. Don't worry about it. And then you have MAGA Republican Congress member Ralph Norman saying, you know, Jim Clyburn, I like him, but, you know, he needs to lose his seat because just think about it. His district, only 47% African American. So why should he be representing them? Here, play this clip.
Jim Clyburn, I like him personally, but he does not represent the rest of South Carolina, which is conservative. His district is close to 47% African American, and then 41%, and with 6% makeup of Hispanics. But let's let them have a say-so in the vote. Let's draw it fairly. And let's take from each of the other district. It affects District 5, which I have represented for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Meanwhile, MAGA Republican Congressmember Mike Lawler from New York's 17th Congressional District, we learn, directed advocacy groups, nonprofits, and political committees that paid more than $720,000 to Checkmate Strategies, the consulting firm he co-founded and partly owned, according to a new Politico review. Glenn Grothman, MAGA Republican Congress member, says he certainly hopes that no members of his party stand up to Donald Trump against his skyrocketing price agenda. Here, play this clip right here.
How do you feel about that as far as members in your party go? Do you think we're going to start to see more members from your party start to break from the president if this conflict continues?
I would certainly hope not.
Then you had MAGA Republican Senator Sean Hannity saying, MAGA Republican Senator, he's basically a MAGA Republican Senator, MAGA Republican Senator Ted Cruz with Sean Hannity right before they went back into session saying this. Let's play it.
The problem with the left, number one, it is profound ignorance. They don't know those basic facts. But number two, they're in the business of lying to young people. If you care about social justice, look, leftists like to call themselves social justice warriors. You know what, Sean? I actually think you and I are social justice warriors.
And here's the message from your House Oversight Chair, James Comer, on the hantavirus. I'm not worried. Donald Trump handled COVID so well. He was so good with that COVID that he's going to be really good with Hanta. He did really good with COVID. We all know Trump, good with COVID. Hanta, he's going to be the same. This is what MAGA Republicans are saying. So yes, all the hell is breaking loose. I don't want to hear, oh, the hell's not. You tell me after watching this. You know, I see some people like, that's not hell breaking loose. What's hell breaking loose then? What does it look like to you than what I just showed you here? No, seriously. Here's what here's what James Comer has to say. Here, play this clip.
We're expecting this next briefing from health officials at 10 a.m. Eastern. What are you hoping to hear? And how worried are you by this story?
Well, I'm not worried. I have complete confidence in the Trump administration. I think we've learned a lot of lessons, hopefully, from the COVID pandemic. And I know they're taking this very seriously. And hopefully this won't spread and this will be an isolated incident. And we can learn from this and hopefully educate other countries on how to contain this.
Yeah.
And then Pete Hegseth talking about arresting Senator Mark Kelly. Captain, he puts captain in quotes, like Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, a decorated veteran, Captain Mark Kelly strikes again. Now he's blabbing on TV about a classified Pentagon briefing he received. Did he violate his oath again? Department of War legal counsel's going to review. Right? Aren't they such babies? The legal department's going to review. Why? Because Mark Kelly called out the fact that America has pretty much depleted most of its munitions at this point. In 60 days, in the catastrophic war in Iran, we've gone through most of our THAAD and Patriots and other interceptors, which he questioned you about in public in the United States Senate for the entire country to see. And now you're claiming that that's somehow classified information and you're going to go after Senator Mark Kelly, who you put captain in quotes. I mean, come on. It's just it's all so pathetic. What you have Hegseth now and the Trump regime engaged in what criminal investigations of who's leaking information about the war to the Wall Street Journal, the FBI administering lie detector tests to its agents to see who's leaking about Kash Patel. Again, criminal investigation subpoenas are flying to the Wall Street Journal and different media entities to try to find their sources. And the Department of Justice changed its policy, which says it wouldn't go after media institutions to find sources. And now they're going after media institutions to try to find governmental sources who are talking about what's going on in this catastrophic war in Iran. And Lindsey Graham, meanwhile, goes, I appreciate Trump's earnest efforts to seek a diplomatic solution to change the behavior of the Iranian terrorist regime. However, between their constant attacks of international shipping, the persistent attacks on our Middle Eastern allies, and now totally unacceptable response to America's diplomatic proposal, it is, in my view, time to consider changing course. Project Freedom Plus sounds pretty good right now. Project Freedom Plus? What was Project Freedom? Something that lasted like less than 24 hours and then Donald Trump gave up on it. But now we're Project Freedom Plus. Epic Fury, Freedom Plus, Freedom Light, Freedom Hard, Freedom is stupid. It's just dumb. What are we doing here, folks? Let's just have smart, I don't care what political party, let's just have smart people who care about you, who listen to you. None of these just lying liars. It's terrible people. They're just terrible human beings. Sociopathic, terrible human beings. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not actually be subscribed. So can you just double check that you actually are subscribed to this channel? Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.